KREM 2 News begins now.
Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 Plus. I'm Tim Pham. This is your KREM 2 News Week in Review. Join us as we take a closer look at some of the biggest stories in the Inland Northwest this past week.
As of today, the state's Department of Agriculture says there are no confirmed cases of this unknown respiratory illness in Washington state. But there are unofficial reports, including here at Spokane, that it is here.
I just want to cry. I know. It's been very difficult.
A difficult last 2 months for Spokane.
Yes, very busy, but this is our #1 priority.
After dogs in the shelter came down with an unknown illness in late September.
We had what we thought was a routine outbreak of kennel cough.
But when 80% of the shelter dogs got sick and didn't get better with routine treatment, Dr. Jessica Pruitt knew this was anything but.
They're testing everything that they could think that it is. It's largely coming up negative, which is hard.
Spokane has been shut down since mid-October under quarantine protocol to stop the spread. They believe what they have is the same unknown respiratory illness infecting dogs across the country. Cases in Oregon, New Hampshire, Colorado.
On the phone almost every single day since it started with different experts throughout the country.
But, says the state's Department of Agriculture, no confirmed cases in Washington. The state's veterinarian says the department hasn't gotten any official reports or laboratory confirmations of the illness, though Pruitt has sent samples to labs across the country, including WSU's diagnostics team. So far, most of Spokane's dogs have recovered. Only 2 died during the outbreak.
We are seeing dogs that get sick, cough for a few weeks, develop pneumonia, and pass away within 24 to 36 hours. So they decompensate very quickly.
But with how quickly this disease can spread and worsen, Spokane recommends pet owners be watchful for any cough that doesn't go away and get to a vet quickly. It's also recommended pet owners keep dogs away from high traffic areas like boarding kennels and dog parks.
Any way we can minimize the commingling of dogs at this point.
Washington's Department of Agriculture urges veterinarians across the state to report any suspected cases. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
It's been 11 months since the Climate Commitment Act took effect in Washington. The new law aims to do things like reduce greenhouse gas emissions and our dependence on fossil fuels. One of the ways the state is doing that is by making the state's largest pollution emitters buy carbon offset credits at quarterly auctions. The program is quickly generating a lot of revenue.
And we've raised a lot of money. We think so far we've raised about $1.3 billion. So that's a lot of money.
That's Luke Martland with the Department of Ecology and the implementation manager for the Climate Commitment Act. He says the legislature will ultimately decide exactly how that money is spent, but it will be invested in things like clean energy and dealing with the impact of climate change. But the new law has also led to higher prices at the pump. How much higher? Depends on who you ask.
Does ecology know or have a way to track how much it attributes an increase in gas prices to the law specifically?
It's hard to make that connection month by month or week by week, but we have estimated that we think the impact could be around 25 cents a gallon, maybe 27 cents a gallon, and these are only estimates.
25 to 27 cents a gallon more for gas, much different from what the state told us last winter.
I really don't think it's going to be noticeable.
That prediction was at odds with an article published by Todd Myers with the Washington Policy Center. Before the law took effect, he predicted it would drive up prices nearly 50 cents a gallon.
Right. Looking back at that prediction now, how are you feeling about it today?
Well, a year ago, we predicted, and based on the Department of Ecology's own projections, that it would add about 46 cents a gallon. The prices, interestingly, turned out to be just about correct. We're currently about 40 cents a gallon higher than Oregon. At the end of last year, Oregon and Washington had virtually identical prices. We're now about between 35 and 40 cents a gallon higher than they are, so they've turned out to be correct.
Since Myers and Ecology disagree on how much the CCA has driven up prices, we turn to another source for more analysis.
Have you seen a direct correlation between the cap and invest program taking effect and an increase in gas prices in Washington?
It looks like there was a direct impact.
Patrick DeHaan is the head of petroleum analysis for GasBuddy, which tracks prices at about 150,000 gas stations in the U.S. and Canada. He says Washington now has the third highest prices in the country, behind only Hawaii and California.
In fact, just in Washington state did we see an abrupt, sudden jolt higher in gasoline prices. That's likely attributed to the cap and trade program being implemented. Back prior to the new year, Oregon and Washington prices were virtually neck and neck. Now, Washington prices are about $4.45, whereas Oregon is about $4.15. So certainly a much bigger gap that has been relatively consistent since the start of the year.
While Ecology admits the new law has resulted in higher prices at the pump, they don't believe it's the primary factor at play. They argue things like supply and refinery issues also have an impact.
We do think cap and invest has an impact on those prices, but it's just one of the factors that drives those increases, and now more recently the prices going down.
While the prices have been dropping as we head into winter, DeHaan says Washington drivers should expect to keep paying among the highest prices in the nation.
Washington will probably be very primed to continue being the third most expensive state in the nation.
The owner here at Carl's Coffee says he has trouble sleeping at night, staying up, waiting for notifications that his business may be getting burglarized once again.
Carl's Coffee owner Wade Bofto says he faced plenty of new business challenges getting his shop open. But in April 2022, he was finally able to start serving customers. Unfortunately, health issues forced him to temporarily close later that year.
On August 1st of last year, I had open heart surgery. So that was just a massive setback after all of that hard work.
He says knowing all that he's had to overcome, both physically and financially, makes crime on his business that much more personal.
Feels like such a slap in the face where I did so much work getting it open and then recovering from surgery and all of that stuff, all of that to just be vandalized.
He says he's been burglarized 3 times in the last year, most recently Thursday night.
This is my whole life. And to have somebody, step on that for nothing. This last time they stole pastries and whipped cream, but they broke my window, and that's expensive.
Bofto says he's had to spend hundreds of dollars on repairs.
I don't make enough money to pay myself, much less keep money here.
Spokane police say there have been 12 criminal incidents within a quarter-mile radius of the shop in just the last month. Still, reports show incidents in the area are down slightly from last year. He says in light of the crimes, support from the community has kept his spirits high. He says some customers have tipped $10, $20, and $50, and he even had to make a PayPal for donations.
It's a little bit overwhelming, I don't know how to say thank you to everyone.
Bofto says he's put so much into his business, he refuses to let anything stop him from serving the customers who have rallied behind him and his dream.
Bofto says he knew he'd have to spend some money on security when he first opened, but never anticipated that he would have to keep making investments in security. He tells me he's planning on installing a more in-depth security system, but spending hundreds of dollars after each break-in, that investment may wait a little bit longer. From East Sprague, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
A controversial ordinance which has divided the Liberty Lake community for years is back on tonight's agenda. City council members are discussing whether they should have the power to approve all library policies with a simple majority vote and appoint a city council member to attend library board meetings as an observer.
This is about First Amendment rights. You want to control what people read. Let it go.
Back in 2021, a resident asked the library to pull the book Gender Queer from their collection. The library board denied that request, which the citizen appealed to city council members. Months later, in 2022, council members agreed with the library's decision to keep the book. Then earlier this year, the same council passed an ordinance giving themselves the power to approve or reject library board policies. Liberty Lake Mayor Chris Kaminskas vetoed the ordinance, and at the time, the council didn't have the votes to override her veto. But that could change next month. Councilman-elect Mike Kennedy won this November, and since he's filling an appointed seat, he'll have a vote as soon as the election is certified next week. However, Councilwoman-elect Linda Ball, who opposes the ordinance, won't have a vote until January since she is filling an elected seat.
This ordinance hopes to take advantage of the small window of time between the certification of the election and the seating of all of the newly elected council members to push through a highly unpopular measure to give the council oversight of the library's policies.
Spokane City Services planners say this housing initiative looks to move away from density and rather think more about form and scale. They say this could look like multiple families being able to affordably live on one lot.
Housing could expand in Spokane, both in inventory and affordability.
If you have an empty piece of land and build a fourplex, why can't that be condos that are less expensive because you're sharing the cost of the land and other things?
The Building Opportunities for All ordinance passed during Monday's City Council meeting permanently creates more flexible housing types in Spokane. It's something the zone director, Jenna Ray, says will serve what she calls the hidden homeless.
So when we think of homeless, we really think of that single adult on a street corner downtown. What we don't see are all of the families that are doubled and tripled up behind a single door.
Ray says the passing of this ordinance could open doors for more Spokane homeowners.
What we're working on is housing stability. We're working on everyone having a lease. We're working on people moving toward home ownership.
Matt Hutchins with Cass Architecture in Seattle is already planning on opening the door for at least 6 Spokane families. He's developing plans for a sixplex on Spokane's South Hill.
It's going to take one house and replace it with 6 households.
He says Spokane is creating housing opportunities in ways other Washington cities aren't.
We have been working in Seattle for years and years to allow this form of housing to happen again. And Spokane just kind of went and did it.
With the passing of this ordinance, Hutchins hopes to begin building in 2024 and start moving people into his sixplex in 2025.
The city of Spokane found data from the Washington Office of Financial Management that shows continued growth in our area over the next 14 years. The projected increase results in a need for at least 6,800 housing units by 2037. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
It gives us thanks for everything that we have had, and it brings our family together.
Thank you to everyone that supported this year's Tom's Turkey Drive.
Between the volunteers and all the donations, it has been another successful season.
I've always given back, and I always will.
Oh, are you picking up a bag, my friend? You're a great man. May I shake your hand, sir?
$5,000.
$20,000! And it wouldn't happen without your incredible generosity. And it also wouldn't happen without the incredible people at Second Harvest. And I tell you, I just love you guys.
Drum roll, please. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Our biggest donation of the year, guys.
It's not a question that you're going to do it. It's a question of when do we start?
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Look at my man right here.
Without him and this, we wouldn't have a Thanksgiving.
Things like this will bring, little bits of joy places where we don't always have it.
Happy Thanksgiving!
From all of us at KREM 2,
Happy Thanksgiving! And we'll see you next year for the 25th annual Tom's Turkey Drive.
I'm Terry Worrell. I'm the director from the Medical Lake Food Bank.
A delivery of food where Tom's Turkey Drive meals were the centerpiece. The ingredients for 400 turkey dinners ready to be handed out.
Just go right to the end of this line.
But behind the boxes is where the real Thanksgiving story can be found.
It's great to be thankful because you have your life.
Mary Johnson has long been a part of the Medical Lake Food Bank team.
For 24 years.
She knows what it's like to be without, as she lost her home in the recent Gray Fire that swept through Medical Lake. She won't be at her own Thanksgiving table this year, but she's making sure that others will.
I've always given back, and I always will.
Mary says she's one of the lucky ones, that she lost her home to fire, but is surrounded by family to help carry the burden.
We were lucky enough to have family here that we could go stay with, and we're still staying there.
Thank you.
No problem, man.
And here in Medical Lake, service to others is helping people move forward. Mary is part of a crew that knows loss and chooses to give.
I have 5 of my volunteers that lost their homes.
All the volunteers helping with the KREM Cares distribution of meals are helping impact their fellow neighbors and friends.
You want to help it? Here, carry this side.
People like Crystal Williams, who gets a meal and then gets to serve her 6 kids.
It helps my family out a lot.
Terry says, like so many communities, Medical Lake can use these meals as people are struggling. And like so many places, it's where kindness becomes the real centerpiece of the season. Reporting in Medical Lake, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
This is one of 3 portables here at Sunset Elementary in the Cheney Public School District. This has been a solution to accommodate growing student enrollment, but district leads and parents say more permanent solutions are needed. The Cheney School District serves more than 5,000 students in Airway Heights, Cheney, and the West Plains.
Those 3 distinct communities are experiencing a lot of growth and have been pretty steadily for quite a while.
Sonny Weathers is a co-chair on the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee alongside John Berger.
We've started to look at things like enrollment data, population density.
The committee formed to bring solutions to the Cheney School Board on how to accommodate future growth in the area.
The West Plains of Spokane County is highly desirable. The demand for housing out here just has not waned. And with those houses come new families, come more students, and then the need for more schools.
Kristen Kellogg says a new school is long overdue.
They are literally ripping out the seams here.
She's a parent of 3 students in Cheney Public Schools. She knows firsthand the district has outgrown its resources. She says it's something she noticed when she attended Sunset Elementary in Airway Heights.
Back when I came here, we had 5th graders that were in the portables. So they were so packed into this school that they had to move them outside of the school. The need for another school out here, especially an elementary school and a high school, is huge.
Earlier this month, the school board unanimously approved 3 propositions to support district expansion and improvement for consideration in February's special election. The bond proposal only covers the construction of a new elementary school in Airway Heights, but some in the area want to shift focus to a new high school. Berger says a new secondary school could be considered in the future, but with elementary schools operating at a 113% capacity, this bond could address that immediate need. The bond needs a 60% majority to pass from local voters February 13th, 2024. Now through December 15th, the school district is asking students, staff, and parents to weigh in on a school priority survey. The district wants to know how people in the community prioritize learning environment culture, communication, resources for students, teacher experiences, and increased staffing. In Airway Heights, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Interior Salish is thriving in Dominic Wiley Camacho's classroom.
It's current, it's modern, it's present, it's active, it's, rich.
At the Salish School of Spokane, children learn, speak, and sing the Salish tongue. Students at the school study math, science, and English literature like most classrooms. But
we tell people we're an immersion school, and then people are always surprised when we're not speaking English.
regarded as an endangered language with only 2 native-born speakers left, the Spokane Salish School is working to keep the language and culture of Interior Salish alive.
It's not gone, and it is learnable. So for our language, it's impossible for it to ever be truly lost now because it's so well documented. It's like, Latin, where it's always there if you want it. We just aren't in the dire straits that some other languages are in, where they don't have that tool and that documentation.
But when lead teacher Graham Wiley Camacho is asked about fluency,
and so we call fluency the F word. Our goal is always, can you talk to people about the things that matter in your life that you're doing? If you can do that, we're like, yeah, that's what fluency is.
The kids need to know that like this is something that can kind of exist even outside of this space. Like they need to have people that they can talk to. They need to know that their language can take them not just like in this space with like friends, but also like into academic spaces. I want them to feel like, you know, this is kind of their home base. They can always have a place here, but also like definitely go out into the world and like you with your friends, like take it on, you know?
Irie and Seneca are two of those students.
Into my aan call in Selchin, into my Sahamanat call, yeah, equipped esteem.
While a complete revitalization of Salish seems like a daunting task,
whenever people start getting overwhelmed by the big picture, I always tell them, don't look at the sun.
The community this school has already built is a testament of its strength.
And so it's like, oh yeah, like this thing has legs, and you know, there are people where this is their plan and we're actually, you know, getting it done for these kids.
The Spokane Salish School is one of only 2 of these types of schools that exist in an urban setting across the entire country. But like the original language of the land since time immemorial, this school is not only growing, but is here to stay.
A parent stood up and said, before my kid was even born, I wanted them to come to this school. And that kid's in my classroom, and so I was like, whoa. It's kind of surreal.
Aiden Brown, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus for a look at some of the biggest news stories of the past week. For the most current news throughout the weekend, you can watch our latest newscast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just look for them in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.